Good morning and welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. Happy Thursday. This isn't one of our usual coffee time days. This is our traditional Zoom day. And I promise we will be getting back to Zoom very soon. Very Zoom. It's just been some busy days here with a lot of live teaching over the summer. But welcome back to coffee time. Let's see who's here. I've got a great show for you. I was busy putting orders together. I'm a little bit scattered, but I'm ready for you. Jennifer, good morning. Your copy of Magnificent Hooked Rugs just came in the mail. Well, that is funny. And I was going to say that's a coincidence. Not such a coincidence, right? This is our book for today. What a great book. It's not going to be done in one day, but I'm sure you're enjoying it already. It really is. Janet Connor, amazing. She's amazing. This really is a great book. Wait till you see. Let me show you her close up. It's such a pretty photo too. But yeah, this is the book we're going to be looking at today. Fantastic. One of the newer publications of Rug Hooking Magazine's press, right? The publishing part. Doreen, good morning in upstate New York. Good to see you. Penny, good to see you. I haven't forgotten about you. I just got my wool from Door. I got another huge shipment of like bolts of everything. So I'm going to get going on all that stuff. Kirsten, good to see you. We had so much fun last night. I'll do that in a minute. I'll stay on track in our class. I'll stay on track for the moment. Robin, good to see you. Hello from Wisconsin. I feel like I didn't see you for a while, but maybe you were on yesterday and I wasn't around for a while. It's me. It's not you. It's me. Tara, good to see you. Martha, good to see you. Happy coffee time. Kira, good to see you. It is pouring and crazy, right? Not at this moment. This is one of those days, is it for you too, where it's like biblical rain pouring down, you know, you're driving and then in a split second it's perfectly dry like it hasn't rained at all? Ooh, it's a bit spooky, that kind of weather. This is the hurricane coming around us or near us or past us or something. April, good to see you. Joy, good to see you. I have not forgotten. I'm working on your wool too. I was very happy to get that big shipment in because I needed everything. It was nice. Doris, so good. They are so fast. Cynthia, good to see you. Crystal, hello, good morning. Linda, hello and good morning. Beverly, hello and good morning. Dave, you can hear the ice cream truck outside. How sweet is that? I love hearing that song. You know, they around here, and I think it's different than when I grew up. Certainly, the ice cream truck is different than when I grew up. But they seem to be, at least in this area around New Haven, playing music, but like it's almost like a calliope. You know, when you hear like a carousel song and you recognize it's like Those Were the Days or something like that, and you think, oh, okay, I get it. Weird arrangement. But around here, the ice cream trucks do that too, and I just don't remember that growing up. It was just kind of that tinny music box sound that they played, and and now it's like the guy who I actually have him on speed dial on my phone, Fred, because when the kids are outside and it's a hot day, sometimes I'll just call and say, Fred, where are you in the town? And he usually just comes right up the street and parks in our driveway so the kids can get something. We buy a lot of ice cream, right? But he always has like YMCA, like, you know, like dee, 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 but with the ice cream sound. It's so funny and cute. It's funny, I did a pattern, I don't think I even showed it this year, of an ice cream truck. I'll have to pull that out again. It was a very complicated pattern, and I color planned it and put it all together, and I didn't start working on it. It's very complicated. But it was of an ice cream truck, because I also love ice cream trucks and those memories. And what I was thinking about when I worked on it, when I put it together the first time, was how when I was growing up, so I'm going to be 50 in February, when I was growing up in Barrington, Rhode Island, when that ice cream truck would come, it was like, I might have said this before, it was so crazy. When it would come, it would, like, you know, the guy would ask you for a photo of yourself, right, as a child. Like, all the kids had photos that they gave him, which obviously never happened today. So you would give him a photograph of yourself, and he had one of me, like, dressed as like Mae West in my Halloween costume. Also not super appropriate. I had tons of makeup on. It was a different time, right? So I remember whenever it was your time that your picture was in the window, you would get a free ice cream. And it was like, you know, one free ice cream. But if it was my photo that day, I would know before the ice cream truck came to my house, because the kids would literally be doing like Olympic style, leaping over fences through people's backyards, shouting like, your photo's in the window. And I'd be like, ah, like go out of my mind, like I had won the Price is Right or something. out of my, it was so much fun. I just don't see that these days. I see kids standing 6 feet apart and, you know, mothers scolding and make a decision. What do you want? What do you want? And it's just, I'm not going to start the good old days talk because I hope I'm not quite there yet. But yeah, ice cream trucks are really good memories, right? I hope everybody grew up with them because it was so fun and so much fun, so tasty. La Pony Girl. Oh, Lori, of course it's you, and the King Charles Spaniel girl too, right? I hope I see you this weekend at Donna's. Cindy, good morning. Linda, Barbara, good morning. Janice, good morning. Finally a day where you could join. I'm so happy you're there. Is it still possible to Zoom? Oh gosh, yeah, Catherine, absolutely. Yeah, you can sign up for it until right before. And I'll just keep checking and make sure that that document goes to you. It's just a printout document. Last night, Betty signed up kind of like half an hour before, and it went to the wrong address. There was like two, but she was able to do the class, and she said she enjoyed it without having the paperwork. But I will get you the paperwork. Just make sure your address that you bought the class on is the address I can send to. Nothing comes in the mail. It's just a bunch of papers that we work with in class, and we will never get to all the games. We did it last night, and it was a great class. It was a great class, and it was so nice talking about Maud. There's not a ton to say. She didn't have one of these wild lives with different eras and epochs and periods like Matisse and Van Gogh. It wasn't that kind of a life, was it? So there's not a lot to say about her personally, but her work really speaks for itself. And her having been such a natural artist and a natural, real genius with composition, we spent a lot of time going through the pictures, calling out and saying what we thought the type of composition was after we had named some of the more popular types of sort of tricks and devices that she used in her paintings. It was a very technical class, but we did a lot of drawing too. And from what I understood, everybody ended up with sketches that they felt were going to be really useful in developing into or just transferring onto backing for your hooking or your punching or your latch or whatever you do. But absolutely, yeah. I think everybody has an ice cream truck story. I wonder if our neighborhood was just weird with the photos in the window. But I'm so sorry that things like that are over because, you know, I can only imagine how my kids would feel if we were allowed to give them a photo of them fully dressed, not like Mae West, but like in normal attire. And if it popped up in the window, you feel like a celebrity. I mean, you literally lose your mind. So I wish that my kids would have a lot more of that stuff. But again, I won't start the good old days talk, although it's tempting. So I'm going to get to that book. What else do I want to tell you? I will be at the function on Saturday in Woodstock at Whispering Hill. And then I will be on with you again for Sunday for the second mod class, and absolutely sign up for that. Projecting forward to next weekend, I'm teaching in Maine. That's the Arundel Gallery in Kennebunkport on Saturday. And let me show you what I've got for that. I'm bringing 2 designs with me to that. Julie, who runs the Arundel Gallery, is fantastic. And she is the reason that I'm aware of the rug hooking artist from my hometown, Barrington, Rhode Island, Molly Nye Toby. And you know I'm working on a huge project with her family, 2 different branches of her family, and I'm in touch with everybody at this point. But the fact that Julie at Arundel Farm had a Molly Nye Toby rug was the only reason I ever came into contact with Molly Nye Toby, a memory of her, and started working on this big project. So that's super exciting for me. But that class is coming up not this Saturday. This Saturday is the hook-in at Donna's. Next Saturday in Kennebunkport. And so Julie chose a couple things. She, you know, everybody who runs a store and has me in for a class has a different style. So I'm about to see that comment of Janice's. Janice says, Deanna, your chair pattern drawing is great. You could take out the sunflowers and put in a sun or a moon. I love your drawing. Thank you. I love it. You know what? I don't even know if I love it. The pattern I showed yesterday. Yeah, I'm still thinking about those sunflowers. I haven't transferred it yet. I just don't have time today, but I love it too. I'm just not sure. I like the sun and the moon idea too. It's just I already did my Starry Night, so I wanted to do something more, you know, under kind of water feeling. I'm just still not sure if this is land or sea. And I think that will affect what I do with the sunflowers. Definitely not going to do it in Van Gogh colors because I already did that. Not that I can't do it twice. It's worth doing twice. He did it hundreds of times. But thank you. I'm still evolving it in my mind. I'm so distracted. with other projects. But Julie picked some stuff off the website that she wanted me to show there. So in that class, I'm doing one punch and one hook. And this is one of the ones she showed from last September. This is the pattern from last September, because last September's patterns were all 10 by 10 last year, right? They were smaller than this year. They were true, like real starter patterns. But we're going to be doing this one, which was called Try to Remember. It came out last September. Thank you, Jerry Orbach, right, from the Fantastics. This came out last September, and again, it's called Try to Remember. It's going to be on linen. This is going to be the hooking project. So she picked this, and I'm going to, teach this as a punch project, just as it is, with lots of color variation in the background. Very simple, traditional, big-eared kind of vase or urn with early autumn colored flowers and leaves. So that's the hooking pattern for the class. And then, I drew up that's the punching pattern for the class. I drew up the hooking pattern for the class. My mom said this yesterday, or was it yesterday that you were here, Mom, or the day before? She said, why don't you do a moose for Maine? And I thought, I'm not doing a moose for Maine. But then I thought, I think I'll do a moose for Maine. It makes a lot of sense. And a lot of people like mooses, right? Like people like specific animals or, whatever. So I ended up adapting an antique pattern that I already have in the Ribbon Candy Hooking Store, making it quite a bit smaller and quite a bit more simplified. But this is based on an antique pattern. I changed the antlers and I changed the trees, softened everything to make it a bit more easy. So this will be the main moose. And this will be the rug hooking pattern that I offer. So everybody who's taking that class is going to get this pattern as a kit with all of the yarn, and this pattern as a kit with all of the wool strips. So it's going to be a great class. And with this one, I was thinking, what I did this morning? Coincidences, right? I pulled out this box of colors, and I thought, where did that come from? I mean, I knew I used it for a project, but it wasn't ringing a bell at all. So I thought, let me just go through this. This is what I want. I don't want green for the moose, right? Because I feel like it's too expected. And I thought, whoa, what's in this box? I've got like bags of crazy mustardy colors that I over dyed. I've got stuff like this, like multi-browns, right? And multi-mustards and these crazy oranges, like, that I casserole dyed. Some of these guys, cranberries, lots of mixed cranberries with kind of hot pinks, more oranges, and then this bundle of navies, wink, wink, with lots of electric orange, right, blues and oranges. And as I was going through it and thinking, I'm going to use these colors for the moose and for the moose kit, if you're taking the class with me in Maine, it's the Van Gogh kit, right? It's my leftovers from when I hooked Starry Night this summer. Ding dong. So that's what I'm going to be using, all this sort of color scheme for the moose. I'm going to hook that tonight. So that's done, and I'll show that to you maybe tomorrow at cocktail time. Thank you, Barbara. I like, this moose is just a little bit easier. The original moose had individual maple leaves coming off both the tall tree and like the bush. And I thought, all those individual little tiny maple leaves with little veins in them, it would have to be massively huge to be able to attack that as a beginner. And I'm not obviously giving everybody, because the class doesn't cost that much, I'm not giving everybody a huge rug size kit. I'm giving 2 kits that are, 10 by 10, and then this one will be pretty equivalent, maybe a little bit wider. But anyway, I thought blues, oranges, and then I threw in some of those cranberries, right? Thinking about Cape Cod still. So that'll be fun. I hope you're signed up for that if you're anywhere near Maine. I'm going to have a lot of fun. My mom's coming with me to help me out in class with handing stuff out and doing all that stuff that I struggle with when I'm trying to talk to people as well. So that'll be fun. Now, Barbara says, I ordered the book that Betty mentioned last night. Okay, great. The one about Maud Lewis's house, the preservation of it, the sort of removal. Yep. That is great. I'm going to order that too. She sent that link to me last night, and I thought, that's fantastic. I don't think I've ordered that one. Good question, Jennifer. No. I was too late with bingo this time. Kira did it. She had it all together, but I was too late with announcing it without being on Monday and still traveling back from the Cape. I just was too slow. I was too slow, and I thought, if I have to push people in a day and have to get the cards, it's not going to be much fun. So that is a to be continued. We're going to push bingo to next week. I'm sorry about that. I am going to do a great class tomorrow. I'm going to do a great cocktail time tomorrow. I finally got my book on Judy Carter, right, who passed recently. Her book on hooking animals. It was her only book. So tomorrow night for cocktail night, I'm going to run a special show about Judy Carter. And if you are following the photos from Sauter Village right now, you'll see there's a lot of, there's a tribute to her up, of course, and lots of photos and memories of her. So we will be doing the same thing on Cocktail Time tomorrow. We'll be doing a great tribute to Judy Carter using her beautiful book, Rug Hooking Animals, all kinds of animals, tomorrow night. And I'm going to attempt to push bingo back to next week. That is still a to be continued because I need to make sure that Julie in Kennebunkport, Maine, has a spot where I can sit down with my mom and just run the bingo game for an hour and a half. So that is a to be continued. I'm sorry about that. I dropped the ball hugely. Kira didn't. She sent me the finished documents, but I felt like it was just too late last night to start announcing. I want everybody who wants to play to have the time to get the tickets and print the tickets before the game comes up, which is already tomorrow night. So we're shooting for that to next week. Moose. Oh, Janice, the moose is your favorite. You have a small herd. Oh, you are lucky. You know, I've never seen a moose, although I've lived in New England much of my life, I've never seen a moose in New England. I've only ever seen them like in Wyoming and Yellowstone Park. Weird, huh? Oh! Danae, hello everybody. I'm a newbie here waiting to learn rug hooking, ready for a new hobby. Hey, it's going to be it. It's a fun hobby. It's an easy hobby. It's certainly easy to take anywhere you go. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Where is Cocktail? Oh, so I will put the link up. I haven't done it yet. I'll do that this afternoon. I'll put the link up for Lori for Cocktail Night. It'll be at 7 p.m. our time, Eastern Standard Time, and I'll put it on our Facebook page, Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club, probably a little bit later tonight when I get back home because I want to use a picture from the book as the sort of ad for it. So that will be up later tonight, and that will happen tomorrow night, Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let's see. Did I get all the questions? I'm going to move on to our commentary. What a team. Oh, no, I dropped the ball, Kira. Thank you. But no, I totally dropped the ball. I was thinking it was a day earlier. You know, that always happens when I'm not around on a Monday. So let's do it. Let's start. Now, I just want to remind you the reason that we got going on this tangent, which is going to be a tangent and a half, is because I think we so enjoyed the Anne Weisman book. And my second Anne Weisman book has not come yet. So I'm hoping that order hasn't been canceled or something, because those are fairly hard to find and definitely expensive. So we will return to Anne Weisman, but she is certainly the person on Coffee Time who has introduced us to using classics, classical era, ancient civilizations to pull from for inspiration for doing our own rug hooking patterns. Now, oh, everybody's saying welcome. I'm so happy about that. Now, this is going to be really the definitive book, in my opinion, by Janet Connor. The link to it, there's an affiliate link to it on this thread. There's also on this thread, in case you missed it yesterday, I loaded Beverly's pattern, the pattern that I drew out from Beverly from an antique rug I saw while I was away on the Cape, called Beverly's Paint Cans. That is there for free. The link is in this video. If you click on it, you can print it any size you want. It is a free pattern, so you should go for it. Punch it, hook it, anything you want. Now, Janet really is the person, the right person, to talk about borrowing from other times, other places, other cultures, other peoples, to come up with our own designs. And you can see Van Gogh, who's also copyright free. All of these artists are going to be copyright free. Klimt, right, the Lascaux caves. This looks like it's coming from a mosaic. I'm not sure where yet. I haven't gotten that far. But she's pulling from, hey Joy, from all different places. So let's start at the beginning with her sort of mission statement. Now, this is a great book. This really is a great book. It's one of the newer offerings of Rug Hooking Press, the magazine. So it is available in their store too, and it's everywhere online as well. The link I have is an Amazon link. The table of contents work like this. Prehistoric art, ancient civilizations like Egypt, Mesopotamia, Minoan, Greek, Roman, then medieval art, Renaissance, Baroque, Neoclassicism, then the 19th century, which is Romanticism, Pre-Raphaelites, getting into realism, and then Impressionism and Post-Impressionism. I even saw, Art Nouveau right in the middle, and then modern art, which includes Fauvism, Cubism, Abstractism, Surrealism, and Pop. So this is a very complete breakdown that she's giving us here. Now, in the introduction, I think she did a really spectacular, these glasses are not that good, but that's what I've got, a spectacular job sort of introducing us to the subject and walking us into what her project is. This is a huge project. She says, and I'm paraphrasing here, looking at her introduction, who can imagine a world without art? The only possible way to envision it would be to imagine a world without humanity. The fact is, human beings have been making marks on surfaces, carving three-dimensional objects, and adorning their very selves since the beginning of our existence on Earth. Now that is so true, isn't it? You take any class or read any book about art, and it will always tell you that people have a built-in intrinsic need to be creative, to express ourselves in any way, in some way. So for people who are coming to rug hooking as beginners, you are coming to a textile craft that is a thrift craft, it's a scrap craft. You can do it super inexpensively, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't. It has so many possibilities. It's not about making rugs for the floor, is it? It's about making textile art and doing it with however much sort of variety and joie de vivre that you want to put into it versus sort of technical stuff. So it offers absolutely everything. But creativity and being a human being, those two things go hand in hand, right? Design inspiration is all around us, and contemporary hookers are more and more interested in the resources of Western art history. Introductory courses in art history tend to focus on all of the phases of human art, making that lead to the Western civilization in the modern age. I think that's a true statement. But then she goes on to make very sort of open-minded and smart remarks about, well, yeah, Western civilization, great, but beyond that, how about Asian art, African art, Oceanic art, Pan-American art? How about all those cultures? She represents those in this book too. So there's a lot of everything in this book. Lots of different cultures. She's not just looking at Western art, for example, European art, right? And then she goes on later to say the purpose of this book is to familiarize rug hookers with the incredible resource of art history. If we are going to put time, love, and expense into our hooking, we want a design that will stand the test of time and always be beautiful. The history of art is our common heritage, and I hope that you will enjoy romping through it with me. I think that is a great introduction. It's much longer than that, but she shows great examples of sort of like I'm seeing Rembrandt pop right out here. This isn't a great example. This is like a geisha, right? That looks like a Van Gogh, actually. Gauguin. No, Rousseau. No, Gauguin. Lots of people popping out on this little page. But then this is how she formats. Let me get a better picture. This is how she formats the chapters for us. So, for example, we're about to look at the chapter on prehistoric art, and she's showing you where she's going to pull these inspiration patterns from, these finished rugs from, like Stonehenge, the Lascaux caves. She's going to walk us through this, right? So she's going to show us examples of using just those 6 examples of prehistoric art in rug hooking design. And why shouldn't you do the exact same thing if they appeal, right? That's the thing. Does it appeal to you? What about it appeals to you? That the thumbnail I used for today, I'm skipping forward just for this one thought, of the Rousseau, the Henri Rousseau, you know, the sleeping gypsy. Sorry, I know that's not a proper word, but it is what the painting is called. There's a couple of versions of this. This is the one I showed today. Now, she writes in the text of this book, and I'm going to show it to you closer. Diane said in a comment on the Facebook page, she said, is that a painted, I'm going to bring it in focus, I hope. She said, is that a painted sky? Wow, time for a new camera. As quick as that, huh? Wow. All right, I don't know if I have the energy to monkey around. I'll just do like this. But Diane Collins of the Velvet Hook said, is that a painted sky? And I have to say, picture this small, it's just half the page. I can't say for sure, but it sure looks like it. In other words, it sure looks like there's the possibility that this artist who is from Wales, Sandie Golden, I don't know the answer, but there is the possibility that she actually just hooked that sky like in white or bleached color, right, regular wool, and then painted it. It's not impossible, and we know that that's a viable technique. So possible, or else she did some insanely masterful dyeing and fades. But in any case, the reason I brought that up was because the sort of excerpt or the clip under the example, that rug, says that Sandie chose that rug because of how it made her feel and think. And when she looked at that image, Rousseau's image, made her think, well, what's going to happen next, right? There's a sleeping person who's just exhausted themselves playing the guitar, and now a lion has come and is sniffing their face. Now, this is a setup for lots of different scenarios, but it does beg the question: what is going to happen next? Is this going to be like a peaceable kingdom kind of scene where everybody's romping together happily and peacefully, or is he about to be massacre this sleeping gypsy? So interesting when you see something, particularly ancient art and prehistoric art. I think the only reason to consider hooking it yourself is because it makes you feel a certain way. If it doesn't, and it's just an image, you're probably not going to be able to insert any true feeling or magic into it. But if you look at something, no matter what its age is, and you think, God, that makes me feel like this or think like this, then that's a great example of something that maybe you should think about transferring and hooking. Hi, Gainer. Or you ordered the book too. It is a great book. It really is. Catherine too. It really is good. I'm so glad that I got this book. I should have gotten it right away. I just got it on that buy and sell page. You know how I feel about that. So let's look at some of these examples. She does, in this book, besides, she does everything. She takes us on a little walk through history too, tiny little nutshell moments of telling us about what we're looking at. And we appreciate that on Coffee Time, right? I know you are all history people too, and you like to know a little bit of the background to set yourself up to truly appreciate. So she talks a little bit in this manner. She'll say, Lascaux is famous for its Paleolithic cave paintings found in a complex of caves in the Dordogne region of southwestern France. Because of their exceptional quality, size, sophistication, and antiquity, these have become very, very famous, right? In the state of preservation, which is very, almost pristine. Estimated to be up to 20,000 years old. These paintings are primarily of large animals once native to the region. And then she goes on later to say, where does she say it? I thought she said it here. Did I dream it? She talked about how they were found. Yeah, a little bit further on. She says, now this is all interesting. I'm going to show you the painting again. She says, we cannot help but feel a connection to the very human instinct to add our signature. More on that in a second, because I'm going to loop that back to Maud Lewis. But she says ancient painters, we're thinking about the Lascaux paintings here, cave paintings, ancient painters would hold liquid paints inside their mouths and forcibly blow over their hands to create these images. She's talking about the part of the cave paintings that look like this, line drawing that she's included. You see how they're all hands? Now this is a fabulous, this is Janet's line drawing. This is a fabulous idea for a hook rug, or punch, or whatever kind of technique that you use. This is fantastic, but it's a series of hands. So she's equating that with the desire, the human desire to sign something, to own something, to make it known that this is your work, this belongs to you. But the idea that the technique would be holding paint in your mouth and essentially spitting it over your hands like a stencil is extraordinary. I'd never heard that before. And she goes on to say the Lascaux paintings were discovered in 1940 by two boys who were searching for their lost dog. They could hear its echoing barks from the hollow space below them. They searched until they found the opening their dog had slipped through. How many other caves are still to be discovered? That's a thought and a half, isn't it? Because, when you think about it, during this prehistoric period, people were living in caves for shelter, any caves. So, there's got to be more that have just been buried by trees or tree trunks or rocks that have slid. Can you imagine what's out there for us to yet discover? It's just, hey, Tad. It's just, it's an overwhelming thought. So here are some examples of rugs that were made. Let me tell you who did them if it's Janet. This first one is by Susan Pilato. Gibson's, British Columbia, 2012. And the second one I'm going to show is Janet Connor. So this first one is by Susan here. Has that real feeling of a cave painting, right? It really, truly does. And then this one here is Janet's. You can see the similarities too. I'm going to talk about color in just a minute. But what a subject. How many horses do we see in rug hooking, traditionally as well as modern? An extraordinary amount. So she actually tells us a little bit about color here by saying, colors for prehistoric art rugs can be anything from the palette of earth tones, meaning sienna, ochre, black, gray, dull tan, every shade of brown, and textures to mimic the rocky surface of the original cave painting. This is, of course, if you're doing it realistically. You can do it in Van Gogh colors if you want, or Maud Lewis colors, of course. The ancient artist produced colors from mineral deposits in the local rocks in the soils around Dordogne. Ochre from made the reds and the yellows. Manganese, I'm struggling with my glasses today. Dioxide made like a violet to a black, and charcoal, of course, just made a black to gray. These minerals were pulverized on stone pallets and mixed with animal fat to moisten them before they were applied with fingers, bones, and brushes. So she's very detailed when she's telling you how, if you would like that very look of the Lascaux cave painting, the sorts of colors that you should be thinking of if you want to be very close to the original. And she also tells you how they were originally made. She shows us things like this, traveling to England now. Has anybody been to Stonehenge? I have many times, but I was never there early enough before they put the big fence up around it. Because like my dad and my older sister, there's pictures of them and my mom at Stonehenge, but without standing on the stones, right? So that hasn't been there for a while. But then things like visiting Stonehenge or thinking about the magical qualities and symbolism of Stonehenge, you come up with something that looks like this kind of rock. Extraordinary, right? Extraordinary. Prehistory. And she says of this Stonehenge pattern, right, the drawing that she's done here, super helpful. She says of that, consider adding color and drama by changing the time of day, the weather, the mood of the sky. Always make it your own, right? Just like Van Gogh changed the season, change everything. Make it your own for sure. Now she shows us more examples. I'm going to stop in a minute. She shows us more examples of cave paintings, and then she shows us one of the statue that is known as the Willendorf Venus, the Willendorf adaptation. I'll show you the photo again for that. It is boobs. This one here, right? This quite recognizable sculpture. So these last pictures are more gorgeous cave paintings here. This is just the prehistory chapter, and I've barely scratched the surface. Again, she shows us a very helpful line drawing. Because this is a different animal now. We've moved away from horses. This is the Willendorf Venus, right? That is a sculpture that translated very well into a hooked rug. And then this beauty right here, cropped, right? You don't have to do the whole animal. You do something cropped like that, and all that movement in the background will give you a full composition for sure. And just to finish out this chapter, she talks again about where these things come from, like the Uffington, England, the horse that's something like almost 400 feet long, this thing that's in the grass, that people always speculate, was it made by, dare I say, aliens? Was it made by different eras of prehistoric people? Who knows? It's one of the great sort of mystical mysteries. But somebody did this hooked rug of that mystery, that sort of geologic / landscape mystery. So all these things that you can go to. This looks like Easter Island. This is standing stones, fine cut wool and velvet on Hessian, done by Louisa Creed. Oh, we talk about her all the time, mostly known for her cats, right? Remember? But she did this gorgeous piece. Standing stones. That's all it says, standing stones. I don't recognize these stones. I mean, I'm sure, obviously they're going to be England, or maybe Ireland or Scotland. I don't recognize them off the top of my head. Maybe you do. But what a gorgeous piece. She's moved on from doing cats to doing a lot more landscapes, and she is becoming crazy masterful. But this whole chapter goes on, and she is just talking about prehistory. We haven't even hit other ancient civilizations yet, like the Minoans and the Egyptians. We'll come back to this next week and look at other periods of history, cross this book over with other books, other examples of people who are doing work, rug and punching work based on ancient art and modern art, fine art, right? So that's what this whole book is about, and we will certainly come back to it. I'm just reading your comments. But it is a home run. If you have just ordered this book, you will not be disappointed. It says inspired by the art of Western civilization. This is going to be fun for us. And the only reason I'm not tackling it tomorrow is, again, because I want to do an episode on Judy Carter. So let's do that tomorrow night at cocktail night. As soon as I finish up my work here and get back, I'll put up a post, so you have the link for that show tomorrow night at 7 p.m. We'll run for about an hour to an hour and a half looking at Judy Carter's book, Hooking Animals. And then we will return to Janet Conner next week for Hook Drug Masterpieces. In the meantime, have a great afternoon. Have a great day tomorrow. Don't forget, if you're signing up for Maud Lewis on Sunday, it is not too late. Don't forget, if you're signing up for Maine, that is a finite amount of seats. So if you are able to get to Kennebunkport, I will be there next weekend. And in the meantime, if you are anywhere near the quiet corner of Connecticut, Woodstock, I will be there on Saturday for a hook-in and a social visit with everybody at Donna's place, which is called Whispering Hill. Have a great day, everybody. I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow evening for cocktail time. Get your drinks ready, even if it's coffee or orange juice for our friends like Gail who are in Australia. Whatever you're having, I will join you tomorrow night. Have a great day until then.